I don't think I would go that way. What I would rather say is that we hire based on what we see at that stage. The problem starts when the reality hits us. Like they always say, right? When the goings get tough, that's when heads start rolling and we run a headless chicken, right? Who keeps their head? And it's not easy in sales to keep your head. And today, where we are post COVID, working from home, youngsters today don't come back, follow the rules of the game that used to happen before. Sales managers need to understand. In the old days, when we said there are two ways to manage a salesperson, and Robin, you will smile when I say this, it's either the carrot or the stick.
Carrot and
And
stick.
I assure you, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, the way the carrot and stick work was exactly the same way. They both hurt. I think you got the point, right?
I
A
did.
carrot and a stick. You are supposed to have an imagery where it says the carrot is the motivator, but no, the way the carrot was used was actually to give you the same pain that the stick would give you. Today, people don't tolerate that, nor are we in a pay phase where people would proudly say that I was in sales with IBM for 10 years. Those days are gone. You're now going to see people by the time they get to IBM would have done 2 or 3 stints already. So long-winded answer, but I'm just going to just answer that question the way you raised it. Is that I seriously believe that sales coaching has to change. The way in which we are interrogating our salespeople, as well as how we work with them, has to change dramatically. And in the
Absolutely.
age of AI, this is going to get even more important because now the human touch is going to start being missing from all this interaction. So how do you ensure the human touch still remains? This makes sales coaching even more important in this day and age.
That's right. That's right. You're going to make a difference, because otherwise, why would we deal with a human? Then we could default to dealing with a machine down the road, right? So
And
you
and
still
and,
have
and
to
that's happening.
prove
Yeah.
your edge as a human being a salesperson. Those statistics really. I'm always like I've been doing this for like almost 40 years in sales. I've done them in various capacity, we've talked before the call. And one thing strikes me, like in all of the sales capacities that I've held over the years, it starts with the strategic direction of each company, right? So that has sales teams. And the strategic directions sometimes are overblown, in my opinion. You have a unrealistic expectation. You've committed to a board, you've committed to the owners. I don't know who you committed to. And then all of a sudden, like they say it rolls downhill, and I'm not going to, it rolls downhill and it sits on the sales shoulder, right? And we always talk about three things to make a successful formula in anything you do in sales. You need a good salesperson, you need a good product, and you need a market that wants the product. Any of those three categories is missing, I
Yeah.
feel, it's not a successful formula at all. And then the easy way out for any manager or VP or CEO of a company, fire the salespeople. And fire the salespeople, hire new ones. And then we go through the fire salespeople again. Like, it doesn't stop in one cycle. I've seen companies go through multiple cycles of firing salespeople. So are they all bad? Are they all not deliverable, not delivering results? It can be.
Here's the fun part. Here's the fun part, right? Let's look at this mathematically. Let's take emotion out of it. Let's first address this strategic notion that you have. I've always argued companies that talk strategy typically talk strategy as a vain way to survive, to ensure that they don't go extinct. So all you then get is white space, blue ocean strategy, and all these big words, right? At the end of the day, Robin, you know what's going to happen, right? You start a journey, someone gives you a map. The map is very clear. It says you will do this, you will then do this, and then you're going to turn this way, right? Now, I have a question for you. You start your journey and it starts raining like crazy. Is your map going to help you at that point? What happens then? That's when the human ability to make a judgment call kicks in. And to me, sales is the highest pinnacle of where the judgment lies. People tell me that salespeople are scripted individuals, and I keep telling them they may start as scripted, but the top salespeople are not anything like scripted. They
No.
know frameworks, they know what's going on. And if
Mhm.
you are scripted, let's ask you a simple question. Robin, you and I in a play. You and I in a play, and I am the love of your life, and you have to give me a dialogue. There's an X on the floor. You stand here, I stand here, and you say your line. Oh, you are so beautiful, Deepak. The sun shines on you, and the moon, bows to you. And I look at you, and I am now thinking, what's my line? But Robin, you know my line because it's a script. And because you know my line, you say, but I'm sure you're speechless, my love, because you're thinking right now of the
It's just switched
rivers.
around.
And I say to him, yes, you know me so well. I am thinking of the rivers. And the shows goes on. So we use the word script, but guess what? Sales is an unscripted territory. Now, there's nothing happening that's going to get you by surprise.